Hi friends, I'm Scott Giles, minister and hypnotist, and welcome to Power Talk, my video blog where I cover topics that interest me, focusing on how you can use the power of your mind to take control of your life. If you want to know more about my professional work or sign up for my free e-newsletter, Power Lines, check out my website, which I'll tag in the description. Well, today I want to take a page out of history and talk about the ideas of an ancient philosopher that probably only those who have taken courses in history or philosophy will recognize. Manlius Servilius Boethius was born in 475 of the Common Era in Rome. He was a highly educated man, served as both a senator and a consul. By all reports, he was a good and intelligent person. However, good and intelligent people do not always live in good and intelligent times. He was, historians believe unjustly, accused of treason by King Theodoric of Italy after a failed plot by the Senate to remove the king from power. Now, Boethius was not only a Roman aristocrat, he was also a Christian humanist. Now, for those of you who may be unfamiliar with that term, Christian humanism is the philosophy that regards the classical humanist ideals such as dignity, intellectual freedom, and happiness, as actually part of the core message of Jesus as presented in the Gospels. Well, imprisoned and sentenced to death, and he was executed, and his wife Rustinica was reduced to poverty. Boethius kept a prison diary where he tried to puzzle out how God would let such a fate befall him when he had made every effort to live as a good person. In his diary, he wrote that he had an imaginary visitor in his prison cell who he called Lady Philosophy. And in the diary, she engages Boethius in a series of dialogues about good and evil, justice and injustice. After his death, the diary was published under the name of the Consolation of Philosophy in 523 of the Common Era and became a classic that influenced much theology after that. In the Consolation, Boethius laments his unjust imprisonment. But he then argues that true happiness can only be found in the pursuit of wisdom, and that earthly goods such as wealth and fame are fleeting and ultimately unimportant. He argued that only good people can attain true happiness, and that philosophy helps one deal with fate and the misfortunes of chance. Well, as someone who holds 2 degrees in philosophy, this guy is something of a hero to me. I think philosophy is very helpful in living a good life, and if it were up to me, we'd teach it in the high schools. Neuroscientists have documented the cognitive benefits of philosophy. One of them, named George Noroff, in his book Neurophilosophy and the Healthy Mind, demonstrates data that studying philosophy makes one more intellectually flexible and generally helps your brain work better. Now, there are many philosophies. Some, such as Stoicism, my favorite, have been shown to enhance mental health and are in fact the intellectual basis for systems of empirically verified psychotherapy, such as cognitive behavioral therapy. Other philosophies, such as existentialism, predisposed to an artistic lifestyle, and were embraced by some of the most creative minds in history. Now, the brain, like every other organ in the human body, benefits from exercise. The sort of exercise that benefits the brain the most is the willingness to wrestle with big ideas, including the great ideas of our civilization. Now, I went through the University of Chicago, where the Great Books curriculum originated. In that system, you never see a textbook. You read original source material. Plato, Aristotle, Copernicus, Darwin, Einstein, rather than books about them. And this encourages you to work with the idea these people had, rather than just digesting what a textbook author had to say about them. And the great books approach is probably the best way to really get into the various philosophies that have motivated the dynamic minds of our civilization. Philosophy teaches you how to think with accuracy. I mean, so much of what appears in the public realm these days is little more than opinion or rhetoric that doesn't hold up to even a few minutes of logical analysis. But the ability to detect that and to process ideas in an orderly and comprehensive way, well, that's a transferable skill to many other areas of life. And it's important because I think most of us are a bit intellectually lazy. At least I know about myself and therefore suspect about you. It's easy to settle into a comfortable worldview that makes one feel better. I had a relative whose life philosophy could be summed up by the belief that everything happens for the best. And she really believed that. No matter what happened in the world or government, she would just go along with it, saying that she was sure it was somehow for the best, even when it seemed to me that she was facilitating seriously unjust and unkind behaviors. Well, that approach was certainly easy for her. She never had to do anything, oppose anything, or fight for anything. She just went along with whatever happened because everything happens for the best. But everything doesn't happen for the best. And thinking that it does is intellectually lazy. And when her daughter died, she was no longer able to think that that was for the best. And she crashed right down into a clinical depression from which she almost never recovered. You see, it's good to think about large issues, the meaning of life, the existence of evil, the purpose of humanity, what is really good, what is really bad. I mean, it's easy to gloss over these issues because they don't come up in daily life. But if you do that, you will find yourself unprepared when life hands you a serious reversal, as Boethius found when he wrestled with large ideas in his prison cell. There is a consolation in philosophy, and no consolation in avoiding difficult ideas. As he sat in his cell imagining a dialogue with Lady Philosophy, he was able to comfort himself that he had been a good person, and that was its own reward and mattered more than the external circumstances in which he found himself. Consider that, and maybe tackle a book or two on philosophy. You'll be glad you did. Hey, thank you for your time and attention today. I'll be back next week with another talk on a different subject. I'd like to invite you to join me. It helps me a lot if you tell others about my videos, so please like, share, and subscribe, and hit the notification bell. If you're wondering if I can be of help to you, feel free to reach out through my website for a free, no obligation screening call, and we'll talk about it. Have a great week.